This boy named Huo wants to become a fighter like his father. His father is the most dangerous martial arts champion in the city. He used to practice day and night to improve his fighting skills. He was so skilled in his skills that he could defeat any human being. No one could defeat him in a fight. Whoever he challenged for a fight, he would defeat him in no time. He also wanted to be like his father, but he had asthma, due to which he was unable to follow his dreams because of kung fu training. In this, the body has to be broken, and if he also works as hard as his father does, then his health will deteriorate. Due to this, his father kept him away from kung fu, but Hao wanted to become a great fighter like his father. His winning certificate, seeing this, he gets very inspired, so he used to secretly copy his father's moves, and in this way he kept training little by little. One day a new fighter came to his city. When he came to know that people used to call Hao's father a fighter from China, he used to be called a fighter from China. Considers him to be the best fighter, so he forces Hao's father to fight in front of his student, challenges Huo's father to fight, and those who had seen them fight knew that this new fighter would not be able to defeat him. This fight was to be fought in the middle of the city. When the fight starts, Huo's father, the father, notices that this new fighter is performing martial arts in an unfair manner. He loses interest in fighting him, and out of respect for the art of kung fu, he holds back his punches, but this fighter is dishonest and keeps attacking. There comes a point when Huo's father was about to win the fight with his last shot, but he stopped it at the last moment because this deadly attack could have killed the fighter. He followed the principles of kung fu, but that opponent was so strong that he could not win the fight. He doesn't do so and takes advantage of the situation and attacks Huo's father. Huo is heartbroken to see his father losing in front of the whole city, but he did not know that he had lost intentionally, the reason for which we will get to know later in the story after the fight ends. Even after defeating his father, the series of humiliations does not end for Huo. After that, the fighter's son also challenges Hu for a fight. He was making fun of his father's defeat in front of the people of the city, which Hu cannot tolerate, and he wanted to break his overconfidence, so Hu rejects his challenge. He accepts that this was a mistake on Huo's part because his father never trained him due to his illness. Huo's friend discourages him from fighting, but Huo accepts the challenge and gains people's attention. And because of not fighting, everyone considers his family weak. He fights with that boy, but with just one kick, his face falls on the ground. He lost the fight. He felt very ashamed that day that he was the son of a cheater. He loses to Huo, but this small incident changes his whole life. He vows that he will never lose a fight from now on. He asks his father for help to train himself, but Huo's father is not concerned about his health. They refuse to train him and his father scolds him a lot for fighting. But his mother saves him from punishment. She explains to Huo that the purpose of martial arts is to help those weaker than you and to improve yourself, not to harm anyone, but Huo was obsessed with becoming a fighter. He was weak in studies, so he asked his friend for help in reading a book on martial arts. In that book, there were many kung fu moves written about which, if performed properly, could kill anyone. Unaware of the fact that it is dangerous, he starts practicing daily, hiding from his father. With time, he keeps getting better and better. His skills become so much that he challenges that fighter's son. Both of them fight, but this time, he wins. She turns around and Huo defeats her very easily. Huo's confidence was now at its peak, but when his father finds out that Huo fought despite being forbidden, he punishes him, but his beating hinders Huo from becoming a fighter. His passion fades in front of his. After that, he works hard and trains himself a lot, and in a few years, he became the most powerful martial artist of the city, just like his father. Later, Huo gets married, but the happiness in his life does not last long. Soon, his wife and his father leave this world. And Huo now lived with his daughter and mother. Huo's father had trained him well while he was alive and taught him the rules of kung fu, but Huo could never become like his father. He was playful and cheerful by nature. The same things were reflected in his fights too. Like his father, he became famous in the whole city, and till date he has not lost any fight. The son of that fighter who had insulted Huo in childhood used to challenge him every year, but Huo he would defeat him in a jiffy, as if it was a child's play to him. Huo's popularity in the city was skyrocketing, but this was what made Huo arrogant and careless. He was cruel to his opponents and did not show any mercy to them during the fight. He did not do this, unlike his father who used to forgive even his enemies after the fight. He always goes to his friend's restaurant, where he celebrates his victory with his disciples and drinks a lot of alcohol. His friend was suffering a lot because of this habit of his. Jinsen explains to him that his followers should learn martial arts. They are not interested in you, they are with you only for free alcohol. He says that the day you stop giving them free food and alcohol, your fake followers will also leave you, but you ignore his suggestion. Because he did not have the simple behavior and personality of his father, Huo also had an opponent named Qin Li living in the same city. Qin respected Huo's father and considered him his real competitor because Huo never followed the values of Kung Fu. No respect for Qin, who was also considered the greatest fighter of China because he had never lost a fight till date. People who did not like Huo often taunted him, saying that until you defeat Qin, we will not defeat you. He will not accept being the #1 fighter, although Huo has said this many times. He challenged Qin for a fight, but Qin had retired from fighting. The people whom Huo taught martial arts were not at all dedicated towards this art, due to which people started doubting Huo's ability. Then after a few days, Qin beats up one of Huo's followers very badly. Seeing his follower in this condition, Huo got an excuse to fight with Qin and went straight to his friend's restaurant where Qin had come to have dinner with his family, and he challenges Qin to fight in front of everyone, but Qin had come to spend time with his family, so he does not accept Huo's challenge. Jinsen also explains to Huo that friend, you can do this fight some other time, today he should spend time with his family, but Huo felt that Jin was only concerned about the damage caused by the sabotage. Huo insults his childhood friend and was about to break the friendship, but then seeing all this, Qin accepts his challenge. Asked everyone to go out, and a fight broke out between them. Qin had the strength, and Qin had the experience. This fight with Qin was his most intense fight till date. He knew that he cannot go in front of his followers today without defeating Qin, but Qin was not ready to accept defeat. He had to face him. He tries one deadly move after another, and after a point, he starts breaking the rules of the fight, and finally he hits Qin with the same punch that Huo's father had pulled back his hand before throwing years ago. With the move, he wins the fight, but he does not notice that Qin had died. Huo's followers celebrate his victory, but Qin's people did not expect this from him, as they have lost their master. His grief soon turns into the fire of revenge. When he returns home, he finds the lights of the house off. He calls out for his daughter, but there is no response. When he searches for his daughter and mother, he finds them. Their bodies are found in the house. Qin's people kill Huo to take revenge. Seeing that the whole family had been killed, Huo becomes angry and he goes to kill Qin's people, but as soon as he reaches there, the follower who had killed Huo's family commits suicide. Huo wanted to kill Qin's family, but as his hands tremble on seeing his daughter. There was no one left to take revenge, so Huo returns, but on the way he meets his own followers who tell him that Qin killed his follower because he was having an affair with his wife. He was misbehaving and he went to fight with Qin without knowing his words. Huo realized that it was Qin's ego that killed his daughter and mother and not his followers. After this, he also left his followers because now he started feeling that he is promoting the wrong people. Huo's friend Jin's also broke his friendship with him. The grief of his daughter's death overwhelms him so much that he decides to end his life, and he jumps in a boat. And sits down, and wherever that boat takes him, he goes there and commits suicide. Wandering deep into the forest, he jumps into the water and relaxes his body. Soon the oxygen level runs out and he starts dying. But then some drivers save his life. They take him to their village and treat him. A girl from the driver's village, who her name was Yuchi, and she takes care of Huo. Yuchi is visually impaired, but with her modesty and gentle nature, she helps Huo overcome his depression. She deeply feels the life of the hard-working farmers and the stagnation in their lives. When he meets them, he decides to give up his old life and serve these people. By living with them, Huo learned the concepts of kindness and empathy. He worked in the fields all day and spent the evening helping Yuchi in a business. At night, some children of the drive are caught stealing. The head of the drive decides to give them a painful punishment. The family of the child begs the head for mercy, but the head wants to set an example for the new people, and he refrains from giving punishment. He does not move, but at that time Huo arrives there, and he is ready to bear the punishment himself in place of that child. The chief tells him, he explains that in this tribe, the punishment for children is different, and for adults is different, but Huo was okay with it. An incense stick is lit, and Huo had to bear the beatings from the chief until the incense stick burns completely. He got a lot of beatings from the chief. If someone else had been in his place, he would have died by now, but Huo stood firm till the end. After the punishment was over, the chief himself praised him and honored him by calling him a capable person. After this, Huo spent many years in that reign and learned his lesson from Yuqi. The closeness grows a lot, but at the same time he also misses his hometown and wants to share whatever he has learned here with his people. He leaves for his hometown and promises Yuqi that he will come back for her and I will marry only you. Yuqi also says that I will wait for you to return. After this, Huo leaves for his city, but as soon as he enters his city, he sees that everything is different from before. China had changed a lot since then. Now it was under the rule of the British who looted their city and raped their women. He sees English soldiers marching on the streets, children begging for a morsel of food from rich foreigners, local Chinese people are being converted to Christianity. When he comes back home, he finds it is revealed that all the servants except the last family servant had fled from there. The British had looted the furniture, windows, doors and every item of his house. They were about to capture this house too, but that businessman friend of Huo stopped them. A heavy price was paid to save this house from the British. After this, Huo goes to the graves of his daughter and mother. He did not even bury them before leaving, which he regrets a lot. He becomes very emotional and tells his father that he understands why he held his punch that day and has mercy on his opponent. He goes to Qin's mistress to repent for what he did to Qin. She lets Huo into the house and tells him that Huo bows his head in front of his photo and respect. He also meets the boy with whom he had fought in his childhood. He had a lot of hatred for Huo in his heart, but the slavery of the British had changed a lot and the hatred between people seemed to have vanished. In the Huo newspaper, there was an American wrestler named Hercules O'Connor. Brown reads about Hercules who had fought and defeated the most dangerous fighter in China, and his next fight was to be held in his own city. That wrestler had insulted the Chinese people by calling them sick and weak. Huo wanted to fight him. But not for himself but for the honor of his people. He asks his friend for financial support to fight him, but Jinsen knew that the wrestler is very dangerous, so to stop his friend he refuses to give him money. However, he later realizes that Hu has completely changed and he is fighting this fight for the honor of the Chinese people. He supports Hu, and soon the day comes when Hu has to fight with that wrestler Hercules. 7 feet tall with a fully muscular body, and he was going to fight with a skinny kung fu master. Everyone knew that the wrestler will win this fight, and that is exactly what happens. The wrestler was lifting Huo up and throwing him down, but soon Huo turns the tables and the applause starts to hit that wrestler. Attacks at his points and weakens him. During the fight, the wrestler falls down from the ring, and the sharp rods coming out were about to pierce his neck, but then he saves his life. The wrestler accepts defeat, and in Chinese, after thanking Huo, he declares him the winner of the fight. The news spreads like fire in the whole city that Huo has defeated the American fighter. The Chinese people regained their lost respect. The dictator of the city challenged Huo for another fight, but he had prepared the format in such a way that Huo would never win this fight. He was going to make him fight with 4 fighters at the same time, and he was going to teach kung fu and philosophy to his followers. He opens a school and his friend sells his restaurant business to fund it. One day, a Japanese fighter named Tanaka expresses his desire to meet Huo. The two of them sit together and discuss their fighting skills and the cultural beauty of the two countries. They have a friendly discussion, and after listening to Huo's words, the Japanese fighter started respecting him. Next day, when Huo goes to the ring for the fight, he finds out that he has to fight with 4 different foreign fighters in 4 rounds, who are fighting against each other in their own respective fields. He was an expert in the art. Despite knowing the conspiracy, Huo continues the fight and defeats the first 3 fighters very easily. He had used up all his energy, but the 4th fight was still left. Here it is revealed that the 4th fighter is none other than it was Tanaka, who had come to meet Huo that day. Tanaka says that this fight is not fair and we should reschedule this round for tomorrow, and Huo thanks him for this offer, but he wants to continue the fight. Wanted a fight to start between the two, and that both of them they were fighting each other equally. There came a point when both of their weapons got exchanged. His was able to control his katana very well, but Tanaka was not able to use his weapon properly, and he was struggling. Seeing this, they stopped the fight and returned their weapons to each other, after which they both started fighting again. When the dictator felt that Tanaka would not be able to win this fight, he asked his servant to put some poison in Huo's drink. He was mixed with poison, and as soon as he drank it and went into the ring, darkness started appearing in front of his eyes, and he was unable to see his opponent. Even before Tanaka could punch him, he started vomiting blood. He understands that all this was a conspiracy of the dictator. This is a part of a fighter's insult, and he decided to stop the match immediately, but Hu knew that it was difficult for him to survive now. He did not want to run away from the arena, so despite his friend's refusal, he stood up. Dictator Tudati wanted to kill him in the ring itself, so he immediately rang the bell. They start the fight. Even in this condition he fights with Tanaka. He doesn't give his opponent a chance to escape, and in his last attack he throws a punch, but he misses a punch. With this very punch he hits a bullet. He didn't want to kill Kinley again, so he blocked his punch just like his father did when fighting his opponent. Yuo told Tanaka about this punch that day. Tanaka understood. I thought that if this punch had hit me today, it would have been difficult for me to survive, after which he stops the fight right there and accepts defeat and announces who was the winner of this fight, but at the same moment he falls down, which means that this fight was the last fight of his life. Menkin's mistress started crying after seeing him taking his last breath. Tanaka bowed down and paid his respects to Huo, and he too was sad about Huo's departure. The dictator asked him who had given him the orders to announce him as the winner. But Tanaka did not listen to him in anger and said to him that he became a disgrace to Japan and left. Huo's loved ones surrounded his body, and he breathed his last for the honor of his people. Huo had promised Yuchi that he would return for him after all. In it, we are shown that Yuchi sees the spread of Huo, who was performing martial arts under the full moon, but he didn't fulfill the promise he made to Yuchi, and this is where the movie ends. Thank you so much for watching.